What's going on? It's me, John D. Villarreal, getting ready here. We're about 3 minutes out of going live on Newstalk 1040 AM, show number 48, I believe. I may be wrong. Reserve the right to revise and extend that later. Yeah, we're getting ready here. It should be very, very cool. It's an interesting show today, very interesting show. And looking forward to it. We'll be joined by Paula Villarreal. We're going to be talking about all kinds of different things today. We're going to talk about the Tyson Fury fight, Tyson Fury Usyk. We have a new unified heavyweight champion of the world. That's very interesting. We have Joe Biden and Donald Trump are going to debate. That's going to be very interesting as well. We're going to talk about the different trials of Trump, what's going on. Michael Cohen was on the stands, not looking great for, in my opinion, for Cohen and then the prosecution and all that type of stuff. But we'll see. Also, we'll talk about the polls. There's some devastating polls out there. Then we had Biden over there at the whole commencement speech. That was wild. That was wild. We've seen some interesting stuff going on with some of these commencement speeches, whether it's people walking out of Jerry Seinfeld's speech and at Duke. There's a lot of things going on. So we're going to be talking about all that type of stuff. We're talking about the economy. There's a lot of things happening there. I'm seeing some stuff on LinkedIn. Lots to talk about. So we're getting ready here. We're about 1 minute away. So I'll just be quiet now and get ready for the show intro.
Welcome to the John Villarreal Show. Now, here's John.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? It's me, John D. Villarreal, and today, wow, May 20th, 2024. Happy May. It's almost summer. We're getting ready for the whole summer season here. It's been heating up. We've been hanging out at the pool, beach weather, all that type of stuff. This is John D. Villarreal Show here on Newstalk 1040, all around the greater Tampa Bay area. I don't care if you're in Clearwater, downtown St. Pete, Bradenton, Brandon, Lakeland. It doesn't matter. We're here in Sarasota. It's so nice. We're having a good time. Also live on YouTube, Facebook, X, Rumble, and I'll probably repost this to LinkedIn as well later. Joined by Paula Villarreal today. It's going to be crazy. There's a lot going on. You know that there's a lot going on. Maybe, possibly could have, I don't know what I want to call it. I don't know what I want to call it. I don't want to call it a shout out. I'm not sure it's a shout out, but it's maybe, let me put it this way. I've said it before. I'll say it again. There's a lot of people that know who I am and know who Paul is. I mean, Paul is almost up to 19,000 followers on X. And the thing is, when you talk about the followers, it's not like, we're not talking about just like we're talking, if you look at my LinkedIn, you look at Paul's X, even look at my Facebook, like I had I don't want to get too into it, but let's say very, very, very heavy hitter. Well, definitely a heavy hitter, definitely someone that's on network news. Okay. Definitely someone who's been in an administration. I'll say that. And I was just like, I knew I was connected to this person, but I kind of forgot it. And they just were like, just talking about they're doing birthday stuff. It was all this stuff like that. I'm like, wow. Wow. Okay. I mean, it's just like that. Like I see, I guess I could say this one, Ed O'Keefe, I see all his stuff out there and he's just doing stuff with them, and it's great. And I do the same thing. Look, they're treated to my pictures of Janair and what I'm doing with my family. What I'm saying is that we're in the mix. And Paul put it so well. We're big enough. I don't mean this. I'm gonna tweak and rephrase this a little bit because I don't want it to sound the wrong way, because we're not like, in some ways it's a compliment, it's a hat tip, it's a whatever you call it. But we're kind of, I've said it before, I'll say it again. On a lot of things, I'm like, what? Half a level, one level, two levels below the big time, the super big time. Of course, we're big time here at Newstalk 1040, and we appreciate you and appreciate everyone at Genesis Communications. But it's like, we're big enough to get ideas from, to get show prep from, to watch the show, to have it on the background. And the thing of it is too, is we've been getting, I mean, people are seeing that we're right. There's a lot of people, I don't want to name other names, but all of a sudden people are having rethinks about certain personalities out there because, hey, this person was right. We've been right so much, it's not even funny. But we're big enough to get that show prep from, to maybe get a reference from, but we're not big enough to credit yet. You know what I'm saying? Where they have to like, oh, well, John said this, or we're not big enough to do that yet. So I'm going to play something. I mean, we're so much more show to get into, believe me. And we're going to talk about all the news and all the different stuff. And again, like anything else, you have no idea. I have no idea where it's going to go. I mean, Paul sent me a little thing here. Like we talked about before the show, we'll talk about this. And then I just do what I want, basically. Okay. But I'm going to play you something right here. You had Dave Smith, and I may or may not show it on the share screen because of, and I've exchanged emails with Tucker, and Tucker's cool. And we reference him. And that's the other thing. I've been saying a lot of good stuff about Tucker lately, for a while now. And particularly in, the whole Tucker v. Ben Shapiro thing and other stuff like that. And Tucker had Dave Smith on. Dave Smith, comedian, libertarian, came up with it, Joe Rogan, that kind of stuff. And I might do the picture in picture. We'll see. I don't know. You can see this. This is released 4 days ago. It's already got close to 1 million views. Tucker Carlson on YouTube. It's got 2 million subscribers. Okay, he's got over 2 million subscribers. And I'm just going to use a little cut in this. I'll stop it because I want to comment on it, the fair use and all that type of stuff. And again, but we'll dive into it. And there's a reason why I'm saying that, not just patting myself on the back. When I was talking to Paul and I was going fast, it took me like 20 minutes to kind of get where I wanted to go on this. So we're going to try to cover it in this first segment. We're going to try to do it faster than that. But there's a reason why I'm saying this. And I'm going to try to jump to the end here, which is you're smarter than you think you are. And if you think something's happening, it might be happening, okay? We've all been living through this thing in various iterations. And we're going to talk about the job market. And I told you that 2023 was a year of reality, and 2024 was the revenge of reality, if you will, when reality is going to hit, okay? And everybody's going through these things, and it's always a question. I've been on the forefront. I've been on the tip of the spear, if you will. And I said it before, and I'll say it again. If I was a sellout of almost any degree, I believe I would have been rich and retired by now. But I stood up for what I believed in, and I stood up for freedom, liberty, opportunity, equality for everybody. And that's what we try to deliver here on the show. And we also try to deliver like with realism, meaning that like, look, and I was just talking, oh man, I don't know if I want to get in this. I gotta be careful what I say. But someone was talking about some issue and about the cause, and Paul and I talk about the cause, and everyone's all about the cause and stuff like that. Well, first of all, as Tucker and Dave Smith will talk about here, like a lot of these people's causes are themselves. But I'm like, look, I'm all for it, and I've been doing it, and I've been committed, and I've done it. But at this point, my cause is I'm pointing to Salma and Janair. That's my cause. Like, my job is to take care of them. We'll talk about the Kansas City Chiefs kicker because there's a lot of that. This is what I'm talking about. All of these things relate. All of these things relate. You have to understand that. You really do. And you have no less than Russell Brand that's been on YouTube, on Rumble and stuff like that, who's been really, doing a lot of different analysis and videos on Bill Gates, the Gates Foundation, stuff like that. Okay. Again, I don't know that we can put it all together, and I'm not saying this is a conspiracy. We're not getting into all that. I'll put a lot on the table. Let's start with this. Dave Smith, Tucker Carlson. Let's see. Man. Okay. All right. We're going to do a little bit of this a teeny bit of this. I think I'll do the picture in the picture, but I'm going to stop it a lot and I'm going to comment. Okay. So just be ready for that. All right. So let's do this. So just bear with me here. I'm taking a slight risk on this, but we're believe me, we're going to be extremely conservative, if you will, on this in the classic sense of the word. Okay. So we're doing a little share screen here, a little this. Now I'm picking this up into this, but this was early on. So I'm picking this up into it, and it'll show you. And again, there's a reason why I just have to play it, and then we'll talk about it. This is the only way this is going to work. But there's a reason why I'm playing this, and you'll see hopefully you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. We'll go like this. Let's see if this works. It's going to work. No, hold on. This is not working. 1 second. Try this again. Okay, yeah, that should be working. Yeah, 1 second. I'm trying. So, yeah, see, I don't know. I'm trying to make this work. Let's try this. I don't know. I'm a little nervous about trying to refresh this at this point. Hold on. Let me do a couple of things. Let me try this again. Sorry about that, folks at home here. I'm trying to make this work here. New technology. Okay, let's try this. Let's see if this works. Yeah, I don't know. That's where you know what? I don't think it's going to work like that. I'll try to do it. I'll try to refresh it on the break. Let's see if this will work this way, and let me know if you can hear. Now let's try this. We're going to pick it up right here at the 147 mark. This is Tucker Carlson, Dave Smith, Rush, and talks about different things and all that. Let's see if this plays. Let's try it right now. Hold on. Here we go. I'm not a super genius. Did you hear that? I'm not a super genius. It's kind of weird. Honestly, like I was going to stop and comment on it, but it happened so fast because I did have it queued up really well. And they talk about like, conservative Inc. and the sellouts and all that type of stuff, and how, DC, like 90% of the people there, they make some different things. And you can see that. You can get the gist of it in like the first 5 minutes, right? But Tucker Carlson says, I'm not a super genius. Now, who would it be? Who calls themselves a super genius? Who could it be? Who else talks like that? Who has about a super genius? Who's done videos? Ask a super genius. Who's exchanged emails with Tucker Carlson? Who has who's done stuff with the Super Genius Academy? Who else, Paul, talks about being a super genius and has talked about Tucker Carlson and has exchanged emails with Tucker Carlson and is known in the conservative space? And I mean, who else does that?
Yeah, I think we know somebody who may fit that category. And look, we talked about this in preparing for the show.
Go ahead.
When you played that for me, the first thing that came to my mind was all he had to say was, I'm not a genius.
Right.
But that's not what he said. And that's when I started thinking seriously about it. Like, well, yeah, maybe. Because look, I know that, from way back, early on, we were doing stuff years ago. Tucker was your friend on Facebook. So, nothing would surprise me, or people pay attention to things. As you said, people need show prep, particularly somebody who is on the cutting edge like Tucker Carlson. He has a very good feel for the vibe of what is going on, kind of the pulse of the movement, so to speak. Well, Tucker, of course, now not being with Fox News and being his own media company, you constantly have to have your antenna out there for who's doing what and what's hot and so forth. So, yeah, that actually, because he said super genius and not just genius, that really made me think about what you're saying. It really did.
Right. And there's no doubt about it, because here's the thing. Well, I remember when I first came out with this, right? When I started talking about all this stuff that's taken for granted now. Listen, I started doing YouTube like 15 years ago, right? And all this stuff that's taken for granted now about audience and building the character and heat and getting over and heels and faces and all that type of stuff, wrestling parlance. That was all like not no. I mean, remember, this was, as some people, as I think Rush used to refer to him as Chadsworth, whatever. I can't remember what the exact phraseology that Rush had. And Tucker Carlson used to be the guy with the bow tie. We love Tucker, don't get me wrong, but I mean, it's not about Tucker. It's like when I started doing Super Genius and Power and all these different things, all these different, like I'm like The Rock. I come up with all kinds of different like lines and phraseologies and characters, and they're all me. I mean, believe me, you ask my wife, you ask Paul, I mean, they'll tell you they're all me, right? And it's the best characters are authentic, right? I mean, it's like comedy. It's only funny because it's true, right? Or some portion of it's true or something like that. And when I was doing these things, people are like, "Oh, what are you doing? You're a lawyer. You're not licensed in Florida, not practicing in Florida, in California, stuff like, or the liberals, their heads were like, I can't believe you worked at Wilson Sonsini. No way, you have to be a liar. We're going to expose you." And then the more came out, yep, it's true. It was like Kurt Angle. Oh, it's true. It's it's blank true. And that was the thing. And so to Paul's point, you could say, "Hey, I'm not that smart. Hey, I'm not a genius," and no one would bat an eye. But to come out with super genius, there's someone that's my branding, basically. That like everybody knows that, right? That follows me and stuff like that. And I get poked. I had an interview not that long ago for a big group and stuff like that, and two of the owners and principals like, "Hey, we're not super geniuses." It was the same thing. It was literally the same kind of phraseology, and I knew like they were jabbing at me. I'm not alleging anything, and they're totally cool guys and everything like that, and I appreciate that opportunity, stuff like that. And funny because I have another thing about this HR person posted something and about how the market is. We'll talk about that. I'll bring that story up later, about getting ghosted and stuff. And it's like, but it's fine because people know now, like what Paul was talking about that, like, yeah, everybody knows, like nobody even tries to make fun, tease you or anything about that anymore because everybody knows it's just true. Well, yeah. And I also have a video on it where I'm showing the actual scores and we go through the whole thing and everything like that. And obviously the degrees and all the other type of stuff. But the point of this story is a couple things. It's not about patting myself on the back or anything like that. It is to say this. I'm not alleging that Tucker Carlson saw my stuff or took it from that. I mean, heck, you have Wile E. Coyote that said that, whatever like that. But who's saying it now, right? It's like casting aspersions. I came up with that, and that was part of our disclaimer, whatever. And all of a sudden, David Gregory on Meet the Press and other people started, Laura Ingraham, other people started using this thing. I didn't make up the phrase. I'm just using it. Kurt Angle didn't make up "it's true." The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, didn't make up "final boss." But now that's the branding. He's using that. Everybody knows when you say "final boss" what that means now. Okay. So, when you've got Cat Williams going out there talking about, certain things, all people, oh, okay, Kevin Hart's a plant. Cat Williams didn't come up with that, but when you start talking about a plant, maybe you saw Club Shay Shay. This is what I'm talking about. And the point of that is that people are watching. And everyone is trying to this is a highly disruptive world right now. We are in the midst of dramatic, crazy amounts of change. Everyone's trying to figure out what's going on. You can make fun of me or whatever, but you know that I'm really smart. I had a call from a friend of mine. We went to a business school together. I'll talk about a couple of my friends. And successful guy, smart guy, really great, former military, served in Afghanistan, was up the Kandahar Mountain, stuff like that. I don't want to get too, because I didn't tell him I was going to, but he's cool. He's been on the show before and everything. He's great. And he's like, yeah, people would come on me and they'd say, oh, John's this, he talks a big game. He's like, and this, my God, he should. He's forgotten more about business than you guys will ever know. Like that guy is connected to some super heavy hitters. Like you have no idea. Like, I don't care what you think about, like, I've been he was in a class with me and went in the same group. He's like, guy's insane. He's amazing. And the thing of it is, and the reason I bring that up is because I'm thinking of like 5 things at once. The problem being Super Juniors. Like I'm trying to land the plane in less than 5 minutes here in a way that makes sense. But believe me, this all makes sense. If you look at that video with Dave Smith, and they basically talk about like, look, the real challenge is saying the thing. If you look back now, people are like, oh yeah, it probably was a lab leak. If there's different. I gotta be careful what I say even now. But if we look back at news stories now, and we'll talk about Cuomo versus Tim Pool and Patrick Bet-David and all, we're gonna get into all that too. But a lot of the people that had the problem with Cuomo is like, listen, at the time where I couldn't see grandma and all these things were happening, he's on CNN promoting the anti-freedom stuff. And it's when you are an independent thinker, particularly if you're smart, and as some people say, you could see through the matrix or something like that, you get no love. It's not easy. It's not all upside. But also, if people know that you know something, they're going to check you out. They're going to look at you. They're going to see what's going on. You may not get credit, but so we're all connected. You're closer to success and you're closer to failure than you think. It's like the elephant with the string. He's really not trapped, but he thinks they are. And so it's like, the difference between, Tucker Carlson may have way more money than me. He does, clearly. We have way more everything, right? But I might be right about this issue, or I might know something. So you got to trust yourself. Trust what you can see. Trust what you feel. Trust what you whatever it is. Spirituality, you pray. We know what and we. I believe that everybody knows the truth, if you will. I'm not totally making full sense of this. I'm gonna have to kick it to the next segment. But Paul, do you understand what I'm talking about right now?
Yeah, I do. I mean, look, the thing is, as you said, and coming back to the Tucker thing, you mentioned Wile E. Coyote. Wile E. Coyote, of course, the old Bugs Bunny cartoon. That is the only entity that I know that uses that same phrase. And of course, Wile E. Coyote doesn't talk that much. So there's only like 1 or 2 cartoons of the whole series where he says that.
And let me just say this about Wile E. Coyote. Wile E. Coyote is the villain. Wile E. Coyote gets punked. Wile E. Coyote says it, but he's not really a super genius. Yeah, he seems smart, but really the Roadrunner is smarter than him. And so why would, if you say that, you're almost clowning yourself. Why would Tucker be saying that to clown himself? Now, maybe he's clowning me and poking fun at me, or it's a hat tip, or it's some kind of thing. It's a roast, if you will. But there's no reason for Tucker to say that about himself without reference to me. Is that what you're saying, Paul?
Yeah, it is. And look, coming back to the larger point too, which is this: people are looking for inspiration anywhere they can see it.
Right.
And so somebody like Tucker Carlson, who has to connect with various as people on the internet, they are looking in different corners. Rush Limbaugh, the great Rush Limbaugh, did have show prep. He did have certain sites. He did have certain individuals where he looked at their stuff. Why? Because everybody needs ideas. And so if people think you have good ideas, they're going to pay attention to you.
Correct. And round this out before the break. Again, to emphasize, this isn't just a pat on the back. I mean, sure, I'm sure that's part of it, right? That's great. And look, maybe it's a coincidence, maybe it's happenstance. But if it is, Tucker did see the stuff, then we appreciate you, Tucker. That keep doing what you're doing, and I appreciate that. The if you will, the covert hat tip or something like that. If it's coincidence, it's a total coincidence, and that's fine. But what I'm saying is, either way, it doesn't matter. Because either you're thinking the same way that I'm thinking with the branding because again, that's not even a technical term. I mean, on some of the texts you can see where they talk about IQ, or a few of them will talk about super genius. but they also call it like high genius. They have different terms for it. That's really a term of art. Listen, I'll finish this up in the next segment very early on. But what I'm saying is trust yourself. Trust yourself. You're smarter than you think you are. You know what the truth is out there. We're here to help you out with the John D. Villarreal radio show here live, also on Newstalk 1040 and also live on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. We will be right back at you in 6 minutes.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Pro-Palestinian protesters have ignored a request by Drexel University's president to disband their encampment. Drexel's campus in Philadelphia remains on lockdown. Houston area residents affected by deadly storms last week that left at least 7 dead finally receiving some good news. Power restored Sunday evening to a majority of the hundreds of thousands that had been left in the dark and without air conditioning amid hot and humid weather. The prosecution rests in Donald Trump's criminal case in New York, turning the trial now over to the defense for a chance to call witnesses. Stocks finished mixed. The Dow was down 196 points. The Nasdaq gained 109. The S&P 500 up 4 points. This is SRN News.
If you're 65 or older, you know this. Seeing your healthcare costs go up and up is frustrating. And maybe you were just notified that your Medicare costs are increasing again, or you're just tired of the massive deductibles. Well, here's some good news. There's a program that can really help with this. It's MediShare 65 Plus. It's an affordable, reliable alternative. You can choose any Medicare provider. You get telehealth access anytime you need it. And MediShare 65 Plus is a low-cost option for those with Medicare Parts A and B, and it fills in the gaps where Medicare stops. MediShare is a Christian healthcare community that aligns with your faith. People actually pray for you, they encourage you, and it's proven too. It's been going strong for over 30 years now. So call now. You can get one low monthly price for up to 10 years. You're not stuck with increasing costs. You can do something about this today. Call MediShare 65 Plus. Find out how much you can save. Call 833-SHARE-55. That's 833-SHARE 55. 833-SHARE-55.
Millions in the path of this hurricane.
Yes, we do have landfall.
Hurricane season is upon us. Are you prepared?
Sounded like a freight train coming. Unlike anything this part of Florida has ever seen. That's not an exaggeration. In the eye of the storm.
Stay with us.
The damage does not end. It just goes.
And stay informed.
Stay tuned to the radio.
In the event a storm is headed our way, we'll keep you updated.
You need to be prepared.
News Talk 1040. News Talk 1040, Tampa Bay weather forecast.
And good afternoon. I'm meteorologist Alan Archer. News Talk 1040, WHBO's Weather Center forecast. All right, check of our Doppler weather radar now. Quietly dry, and weather-wise, we're in good shape here throughout most of the week, but just too hot. Our forecast sunny today with a high up to 91 on a dry northwesterly breeze, 10 to 15 miles an hour. Fair tonight at 74. For tomorrow, likewise, up to a partly sunny 91, 94 degrees on Wednesday, 92 on Thursday. Next chance
What's up, everyone? John D. Villarreal here, the John D. Villarreal Radio Show here on Newstalk 1040, all around the greater Tampa Bay area. It is May 20th, 2024, 4:35 p.m. out there. I hope you're having a good day, winding down your work day, or maybe you're already headed home, or maybe you've been at home and you're having a good time and all of that. And listen, we've been talking about, also we're live on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, X, and then I'll probably repost this later on LinkedIn. We've been talking about Tucker Carlson and how he talked about, I'm not a super genius, everything. We're talking about all that. And the thing of it is, like I said, and we're bringing in Paul Villarreal, it doesn't really matter because either he saw that or saw stuff, and maybe it was a reference to me. And again, I've exchanged emails with him before and everything like that. Like a lot of people within the conservative movement know who I am. No doubt about it. He actually has a place down here in South Florida. I won't say where, but not too distant, I believe, from me and everything like that. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people out there, but either or, let's say totally on their own, it's completely has nothing to do with me. Well, great minds think alike. So it's okay if he says it, but not okay if I say it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and to that extent, it's so funny because this is what I'm saying. The point is to trust yourself, that you know what's going on. You know the truth out there on so many different things. Someone talked about that on Don Lemon. In fact, on that Dave Smith thing with Tucker Carlson, and talked about Don Lemon. Don Lemon's only getting like according to them, I don't know, I'm not alleging anything, but like 1,000 views or something like that on his video. That dude was like that guy was making millions on CNN. We've seen it before. Bill O'Reilly, Brie Larson. We've seen some of these, stars, these big stars. When they come on YouTube, when they have to compete for themselves or Rumble or X or whatever, and it's crickets because they don't have a built-in audience. They don't really have a following. They're just corporate mouthpieces. I'm not trying to punk anyone out. Now, Bill O'Reilly, way bigger than Don Lemon. I mean, for sure. But neither one of them are Tucker Carlson. In fact, I've heard Bill O'Reilly, in my opinion, kind of sounds like sour grapes in relation to Tucker Carlson and stuff like that. Like, oh, I had a bigger audience. And I'm okay, dude. Well, you're no Tucker Carlson. Sorry. No diss on Bill. Bill's done his thing. Bill's had a fantastic career. Bill's way more successful than probably I'll ever be and all that type of stuff. But Tucker Carlson is way more impactful. That's what I try to say. A lot of people pick it. That's what it's so funny that I'll say something 2 months, 1 month, a year, sometimes 10 years ahead of time. And then all of a sudden people catch up to it, and that's kind of Dave Smith's point, whether it's standing up for courage, or also being right on an issue and being, a commentator and the value of your, commentary, if you will. Hindsight's always 20/20, right? By the time everybody gets it, everybody's already get it. By the time it's safe, everyone's already got it. Can you say the right thing at the right time and be right? Can you be right and say the right thing at the right time? And so any way you slice it, as Paul was saying with Why the Coyote, I'll bring him right back in here and we'll switch to other topics. A lot of other stuff to talk about. I've got this Biden thing at the college pulled up, but I don't know if I want to play it or not because it's like so, and some of this stuff is so unhinged. It's like it's election cycle again. And I'm just so tired of it. And particularly with how many times Hillary Clinton, Biden, how many times can we just see this? I don't know what you want to call it. This fomenting, this stoking, this pander. I don't like it, dude. I don't like it. I just like this. Like, are we not past this? Even Bill Maher. But anyway, I don't want. Okay, let me bring Paul in here. So that's what I'm trying to say, Paul. Either Tucker saw the stuff, even if he didn't see the stuff, then great minds think alike, if you will. And there's no reason for him to say it, as you said, because it's like the phraseology, like he's Mr. Serious, Mr. Professional, and all this type of stuff. And people say the same thing. My background's super professional, and people can't understand. But this is what I've always. People are people. Everyone needs to eat. Everyone needs to sleep. Everyone, like I love the way people don't like me. It's like, dude, people play characters in their own lives. when they go to, when the executive goes to the office, they're the executive. When they come home, they're mommy and daddy. When they're on the weekends, they're just a regular man or woman with their buddies or whatever like that. Like we've got to get to a situation where, like, it's so. Honestly, it's reverse. You guys are the ones playing the roles, not me. I'm the same way all the time. Pretty much. I mean, now, obviously, I'll be appropriate if I'm going into, whatever. I don't know. If I'm going to a church or I'm going to, a court or something like that, I'm gonna or going to White House, I'll have a suit on or something like that. Okay. But I mean, what you see is what you get. You know what I mean? Like if you were, and someone said that, and they said that about Joe Rogan. Like, when you hang out with him, it's really like the same thing. That's how I am. So anyway, I've said a lot here. Let me bring in Paul. Let's wrap this up. Let's move on to other topics. Paul, what's your final takes on this thing?
Yeah, look, I think I think the big point, or a big point with this is that you always have to be aware that people are paying attention. And it's not just about John or myself. Correct. It's about everybody listening too. If you're on the internet, if you're writing things, if you're on Facebook and you have friends, and maybe they have friends of other friends, they're looking at your stuff as well. And if they think your ideas or your speech patterns are interesting or compelling, they might use them. And that's the world that we're living in right now. And because we're all so connected, people can do that, and they do that, and they will do that. And so I think that's the kind of the big thing here. It's not just about us; it's about everybody.
And trust yourself. That's like, I'm going to use something later that was posted on LinkedIn. I don't know this person; they don't know me and stuff like that. But I'm like, this is interesting. It's a public comment, and so we're going to talk about it. I mean, it's out there for public consumption and stuff like that. And they were pretty, it sounds like they were pretty high up in one of the big tech companies, and so, that's what I'm saying. And so if you know something, if you feel something, if you're smarter than you think you are. We are all connected. It is a different world now. What the corporate media wants you to believe is where the experts are here and you're here and stuff. And what Chris Cuomo and these other people feel, oh no, yeah, well, what you were thinking about some of these other things, what Joe Rogan was saying was actually right and stuff like that. So in other words, like, yes, there's some different experts. First of all, they punked out some experts, some real experts, okay, from Stanford and some other people like that, because they weren't throwing the line. And as Carlson stuff, like, so much of the stuff out there right now is propaganda. And so, they want you to not trust yourself, to not trust, the people around you and his family. And again, I'm not getting conspiratorial. I'm just saying like the whole, a lot of this game with media and corporate media and broadcast it's prestige and stuff like that. Why should someone with no major degrees or no advanced degrees, who's just reading a teleprompter, who might look better than you and I, and it just can read a teleprompter, what makes them credible? Or that David Muir, and I'm nothing against David Muir. Don't get me wrong; he seems okay to me. But I mean, I really don't know. I don't watch his stuff. But just go, he looks a certain way, and he's got his chin pointed up, and it's so serious. And Peter Jennings, if you have the right angle, it's silly, dude. It's absurd. Who's Don Lemon? And nothing against Don Lemon, but who is that? You just had Candace Owens go on the Breakfast Club. I don't know if I want to play this or not. I don't want to, and she was basically, someone said, and it was really, in my opinion, discussing what Charlemagne, the line of questions. I can't believe that you can do that. I mean, I'm not even going to get into that. You go watch it yourself. You that's my personal opinion, and not allege anything and all that. But Candace Owens' response. And how many times have I said this about my wife? I've said this story so many times, and I don't want to get in trouble sitting in the room, but it's like, I said, I didn't marry my wife for looks. I married my wife because she's super smart, and I'm a super genius, and I want someone I could talk to, and IQ and all, and she's a great, mother and all these different things. Go look at what Candace Owens said in her response there, and you tell me if that doesn't sound very similar to what I've said. I've probably said that story 10, 20 times or more on Newstalk 1040 and also on my podcast and other videos and stuff like that, whatnot like that. And I've never heard this discussion from candidates out there. And look, there's a lot of people that are terminally online that are there, that are influencers that are, and again, who knows? Maybe great minds. That's why it doesn't matter. If she saw my stuff and said, "Oh, that's a good," or it's like, you know, people are thinking this. This is what I'm talking about. Like, trust yourselves, Paul. Final comment, and I want to move on to Biden.
Yeah, look, as I said, act as if people are watching what you're saying and what you're doing, because there's a very good chance that they are.
Yes.
That's the message of all of this.
Yes. That's right. And trust yourself. If you think something's right or you think something's wrong, it probably is. You know, like why were we shutting down, you know, businesses in church, and why couldn't you see grandma? You know, it's all. I don't want to get into all that, but I mean, listen, dude. I mean, 2024, we're seeing so many, and we're seeing it here with this Biden thing. I don't know if I should play it. I mean, what do you think, Paul? I don't know if I should play this or not. You got the Biden, the Morehouse College commencement. I mean, we can definitely summarize it. I've got the C-SPAN right here. I mean, I can play some of it, but it just, I mean, he just gets
You
right.
don't have to play it. We can just talk about it.
He gets right into George Floyd and everything. And like, what are we like, and basically someone was saying, kind of making it seem like, you know, that you can't get a fair shake in America. I mean, you're at a prestigious college. You're the president of the United States. You've got people turning their back on him because they're not happy with some of the foreign policy stuff, I think. And he's just going into this stuff, dude. I mean, it's like when he was talking, you know, I don't even want to say it about what he, I mean, you look it up. I mean, what he, you know, some of the comments that he made about President Obama before he was president. I mean,
yeah.
Go ahead. I mean, and he's also talked about 7-Eleven and he, I mean, this Biden dude, I mean, listen, I'm not trying, listen, I make mistakes all the time. I might make mistakes here. I apologize and definitely can revise and extend. But I mean, you know, Biden, you know, the back in, I mean, he said he's done stuff on the Breakfast Club. I mean, you know, he seems to keep coming back to these themes. And yet they talk about Trump. They talk about Trump, that Trump. You've got minorities that are starting to really support President Trump in record numbers for a Republican. And then you've got Biden going up there and giving this speech. I don't think it was well received, Paul, your comments.
Yeah, look, I think the point about what happened at Morehouse, which of course is one of the most prestigious HBCUs in the nation, is that, as you mentioned, people were turning their back on him. And what's happening with this is that he is, in poll after poll, he is losing support among various minority communities. So that's, I think, the bigger story here, regardless of whatever he's saying to try to retain support. But it's that a new poll that CNN discussed the other day said that 25% of African-American voters under the age of 50 are going to support President Trump. That is historic. That is unbelievable. And that is why, unfortunately, I think you might hear President Biden saying some of the things that he's saying, because I believe that he and his Democratic strategists understand if those numbers hold up, he's going to have an extremely difficult time getting reelected.
We're going to play just a little bit of this. Now, I apologize ahead of time to the audience, stuff like that. Listen, I'm sure it's fine. Well, in terms of any kind of like, you know, swear word. Okay, let me restart. I apologize on that, President Biden. Let me totally restart on this. Obviously, he's president. You know, he knows how to deliver a speech. He's delivered many of them and stuff like that. I'm not alleging or casting any aspersions or alleging any facts or anything like that. I've heard a couple clips from this. I've seen some criticisms of this. I don't know the whole speech or how it's going to go. So we're going to take a little bit of a gamble here together on the John D. Villarreal radio show, but it's on C-SPAN. So, I mean, you know, how bad can it be? But again, from the political aspect of it, let's see. Let's just go through some of this a little bit, and then I'll comment as we go. And we'll see. We'll get Paul's comments as well. Let's go.
All those who got you here, all the way in the back. Please, parents, grandparents, all will help. Stand up, because we owe you a debt of gratitude. To all the family.
Now, look, credit where credit's due. I mean, that's a nice gesture right there. I mean, the thing of it is like, you can say whatever about Biden. He is a skilled politician. Like, he understands, you know, Biden today may not be Biden 30 years ago, but he definitely has that thing and a certain thing that he can do. And so that's a good move. And that's Scranton Joe. That's why, if Paul and I will probably talk about this in the next hour, if somehow, when we talk about the debates, if somehow or some way that, you have to run Biden, because if you don't, how are you going to win Pennsylvania and other places like that? So he understands how to definitely be political, if you will. So let's continue.
I'm going to go for a little bit. It mattered. It's mattered a lot. And the friends of Morehouse and the Morehouse men,
We're just going to go.
You all think I'm kidding, availeth much. In Augusta, Georgia, a righteous man once enslaved set foot for freedom. The story goes, he feared no evil. He walked through the valley of the shadow of death on his way north.
Now, look, this is tough because it's an HSBCU. All right, HBS. I'm tired of it. It's historically, a black college, okay, and university, and Morehouse is the, big name there for sure. And we've got Florida Tech here, and the Rattlers, and we definitely appreciate them very much. And I definitely have one of our friends on Facebook. She's awesome, is a Rattler. I've met a lot of Rattlers, and they're fantastic. But so on the one hand, you could say, okay, appropriate. And on the other hand, like, we're getting right into that. I mean, it's like we're right into that. Like, can't they just be college graduates? And again, I apologize ahead of time. It's live. If I say something wrong, if I slip up, I talk very, very fast, with peace, love, freedom, opportunity, liberty for everyone. But everybody wants to be treated the same, dude. That's the point. Let's go to President Biden here.
The free soil in Philadelphia. A Baptist minister. He walked with faith in his soul, power in the steps of his feet to glory. But after the Union won the war, he knew his prayer.
The timeout. I got to come back in here again. It's like we're into the Civil War. We're into like Baptist ministers. We are like, and again, I don't know where to go because we're 7 minutes into the speech and he didn't even get up for this is like literally minutes into the speech. He just did the intro and stuff like that. You saw what I did there. We haven't gone anywhere. We're immediately into this. How about this? How about like, hey, you're graduates. Hey, it's exciting. Hey, there's a great world out there. Hey, you want to get a job in the economy and stuff like that, or the world. I mean, how about stuff that they're going to have to deal with for, how about the reality of the job market? I mean, a lot of people went to college because they want a better job. They want a better career. They want to make their lives better. And instead we're talking about the Civil War and we're talking about Baptist ministers. Paul, your quick comment before I continue.
Yeah, look, I mean, as you said, I think that those type of comments would be a lot more appropriate than maybe some of the other stuff for this graduating class.
Yeah, and we're not going to continue with too much more of this. I mean, this is public domain, C-SPAN, everything like that. But I mean, I think somewhere in here, very quickly, we're getting it. I heard something where I think it's George Floyd. Hold on, let's see.
Availed of freedom that was not his alone. And so this righteous man,
we're going to speed up.
You all know that, where education would be the great equalizer from slavery to freedom, an institution of higher learning that would become Morehouse College.
Well, that's
I don't know any other college in America that has that tradition, that consequence.
Okay, so he's giving props to Morehouse College. Okay, so that's cool. That's cool. All right, so we're going to go forward a little bit here. I don't know where we're at. Again, I didn't listen. I've heard some different clips, but I mean, it's just like you can see the tenor of it, in my opinion.
Norway. I left the fancy law firm I had just joined, decided to become a public defender.
Here we go. There's a Biden story. Here we go. We got a Biden story.
And then a county councilman working to change our state's politics, to embrace the cause of civil rights. The Democratic Party in Delaware was a Southern Democratic Party at the time.
All right. So this is like, okay, Morehouse College is great. And here's my story. And I was great. I did a lot of stuff like that. I mean, to me, this is very, very political. I'm just going to jump ahead. I don't know where we're going to go. We're going to go like somewhere in the middle here and just take a little taste of this. Here we go. We're at the 21:53 mark.
And more than ever, democracy is also about hearing and heeding.
Here we go.
Your generation's call to a community free of gun violence and a planet free of climate crisis, and showing your power to change the world. But also know Some of you ask.
This is like, I mean, here's the thing. You're at a commencement. This is like a campaign speech. I mean, Paul, this doesn't sound too different to me. And we're only going to play a little bit more of this. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find what I want to find here in time. But I mean, to me, this doesn't sound too different than the State of the Union. This just sounds like a campaign speech, right?
Yeah, honestly, it sounds like a hodgepodge of, like you said, like kind of agenda items for a campaign speech.
Yeah. I mean, to me, this sounds like someone who's losing support and is a little bit worried. Go ahead.
Yeah, the thing that strikes me about this, and again, we can't hear the whole speech and whatever, is, look, one of the main reasons that people of color are losing kind of pulling away from Joe Biden is because of what is going on in the Middle East. It's not about the climate crisis. It's not about what happened in the past, and so on and so forth. So it's like, if you're going to talk about issues that the people supposedly care about, well, why don't you talk about the real issues?
Yeah, that's a great point. Wherever you're at on the issue, that's what's happening. Right, you're at a college. We've had these college protests, these campus protests, some of which may still be going on. It's a big thing. We haven't heard any of that yet. We're talking about the Civil War and stuff like that. What about what's happening right? That's what I'm saying. What about what's happening right now, President Biden? Let's hear a little bit more, and we'll close it up. And I'll play a little bit here, and I'll jump to the end, see what he says there.
What is democracy?
Oh, democracy.
We can't stop wars that break out and break our hearts. In a democracy, we debate and dissent about America's role in the world. I want to say this very clearly.
A democracy.
I support peaceful nonviolent protest. Your voices should be heard, and I promise you I hear them. I determined to make my administration look like America. I have more African Americans in high places, including on the court, than any president in American history, because I need the input. What's happening in Gaza and Israel is heartbreaking.
Oh, okay, here we go.
Hamas's vicious attack on Israel, killing innocent lives and holding people hostage. I was there 9 days after. Sent pictures of tying a mother and a daughter in a rope, pouring kerosene on them, burning them, and watching as they die.
Yikes. Okay. So this is President Biden. This is public comments. This is C-SPAN, everything like that. I didn't listen to all this. I don't know what he's going to say. I'm going to fast forward some of this. Obviously, he is getting into the issue right here. Let's see what he has to say about it. I'm going forward 10 seconds. Let's see what he has to say.
Food and medicine. It's a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. That's why
let's go back 10 seconds. I don't want to. So we're going to cut out a couple seconds here, but I'm going to try to play as much of this as possible, unedited. Obviously, I'll refer you to the actual speech itself. This is at the 23-minute, 16-second mark. Here we go, President Biden, and I'll try to zip it.
Despite in desperate need of water, food, and medicine, it's a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. That's why I've called for an immediate ceasefire. An immediate ceasefire to stop the fighting.
Now, it's interesting, as Paul's point, I haven't heard a single applause from the audience until that. They applauded on that, Paul.
They did. I mean, that's the issue, or the type of issue that people care about, or the younger people care about.
Now, time out. We got to wait. I apologize, Paul. We have but 1 minute left. I want to play as much as I can here, President Biden, so we're fair to President Biden on his comments right here. Morehouse College. Here we go.
Bring the hostages home. And I've been working on a deal as we speak, working around the clock to lead an international effort to get more aid into Gaza.
Okay, so look, we're going to have to take a break. This is John D. Villarreal radio show here. So President Biden is kind of trying to address the issue, trying to talk to both sides. Very interesting there. We'll talk about more of that and all kinds of stuff in the next hour. John D. Villarreal radio show here on Newstalk 1040 and live on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with you in 6 minutes. All right, everyone, it's me, John D. Villarreal, on the John D. Villarreal radio show here on News Talk 1040, also live on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. Lots going on. We're talking about President Biden and his speech over here to Morehouse. I've got on the screen share right now, Real Clear Politics, 2 top videos at this point here. It's Monday, May 20th, 5:06 in the greater Tampa Bay area. 2 of the top videos. One of them, quote, Biden tells Morehouse grads, quote, if black men are, let me do it again. Quote, if black men are being killed in the street, what is democracy? Unquote. Okay, unquote. And then the next one to the right of that, you've got Fox News's, here we go, quote, FNC's Jones, quote, imagine you've made all these sacrifices, unquote, to graduate just to hear the president say, quote, the country doesn't love you. I mean, this is the thing. Like this thing is really crazy. I thought, well, maybe I was being too hard, but I remember and then I saw these things. I'm like, yeah. I mean, and the tone and the tenor of this commencement speech, and I'm not going to play all of it. We already played a bunch of it before, but it's just getting crazy over there. Okay. And we have here, we've got something here with President Biden here, and we've got that from President Biden right there. And then, but you've got reaction here, from New York Post. They don't like it, right? And thinks it's a patronizing speech to Morehouse grads. That's Adam Coleman from the New York Post. You've got Fox News. Fox News is reacting to this. And let me show that here. Let's go. We got Fox News reacting to this real quick. We're gonna bring in Paul Villarreal here to get his comments as well. Okay, we've got Fox News here, and they're saying that, quote, black voters erupt after Biden questions whether democracy, quote unquote, actually works for them, unquote. And this is the strong comments, Paul. And you had some comments. I unfortunately we had to go to the break right there. What do you think? What's your take on this?
My basic take on the entire thing is that it feels manipulative.
Right.
And in that sense, I don't like it. It just doesn't seem, it's cynical. It feels exploitative. This is people's graduation. They should be happy. They should be celebrating. They should be looking for their place in the nation and in the world. And you're telling them that the nation doesn't love them. I mean, it just feels really cynical, and just I just don't like it.
Yeah, it's really crazy. We're back in election season right here, and this is what I really hate about this. I really okay. We've got someone that basically that we're getting a comment here coming across the chat here. I don't know. And again, we never know what some of these comments. I don't know. I haven't figured out how to do the chat moderation as much here on the Rumble thing. But I think they said that what I'm saying here is, let me see if this is. I'm going to read this here. Quote, hello, good evening. How are you? I understand French better. I watch your videos a lot with French subtitles. I have a question. Well, go ahead. Yeah, give me the question. If you have a question, I'll try to answer it. I understand a little bit, of French. It's been a while. But yeah, Paul, what did you say before? Global audience. I mean, everyone kind of had, a lot of people have a global audience now. A lot of people say, but we also have this from we're going to switch back here for another second here. The Trump trial. We might get comments from Trump in a little bit here, potentially. It looks like Judge Merchan. We've got this from Fox News. This is big time right here. And then Trump is speaking. We'll have to monitor, Paul. If you see something there on X or Trump's comments, let us know about that. But apparently there was the headline from Trump from Fox News, quote, judge clears the courtroom to scold Trump witness, quote, are you staring me down, unquote. I mean, Paul, what's going on with this trial? I mean, we're getting, Cohen, Michael Cohen is, quote, prosecution star witness testifies about why he stole thousands from Trump org. It looks like it's not going well for the prosecution. And this judge, I don't understand. A lot of people are criticizing this judge. And then his daughter seems to be a Democrat. I don't know. I'm not alleging anything, but I've heard that there's some potential connection with Democrats. What's going on with this Trump trial?
Yeah, so what is happening right now, and court has adjourned for the day. So when that happens, basically every day, President Trump talks to the media before he goes into court, and he talks to the media at the end of the day of court. And I guess that's what he's doing right now. And I often put those comments up on my Twitter. So what happened with Mershon and the witness is Robert Costello, who used to be a lawyer / legal advisor for Michael Cohen, who was, of course, the star witness for the prosecution. So the prosecution rested their case today. And so it was the defense's turn what they wanted to do, or they wanted to call witnesses and so forth. They called Costello. And Mershon apparently put all kinds of parameters on what Costello could and could not say. He allowed various objections from the prosecution to be sustained when the defense counsel was talking to Costello. And I believe at some point, Costello simply began to tire of not being able to say anything in his feeling. That's the sense that I got from people reporting on what was taking place. And so I think at some point, Costello was kind of maybe rolling the eyes, sighing, this type of thing. And Mershon got mad at him about that. And I think that's why he cleared the courtroom. And that's what happened, essentially, that in my understanding.
Gotcha. And then we have, this thing. I gotta be real careful with all this stuff. But we have of C-SPAN, President Biden. That's got President Biden remarks at Jewish American Heritage Month celebration. And I think if you look at his comments on at the Morehouse College thing, here's the thing. Now, Trump has tried to weave, a thread the needle, if you will. Obviously, super complicated, super hot issue and stuff like that. I've said it before. I've said it again. I've got family over there. I have Jewish family members, Arab family members. I mean, you know what I mean? Like friends. I've got friends. I mean, and I know enough to know that I don't know that it's super complicated and everything like that. All I know is I'm for peace, love, freedom, opportunity for everybody. And I want everybody to live in peace, and Israel needs security and all this type of stuff. Okay. And everyone's got to be treated fairly and the same. Okay. Now, the problem of it is that, not the problem. Let me put it another way. There's a big difference between, and I'm not alleging anything, but there's a big difference between pandering or saying things for political purposes or trying to have it both ways and leadership, right? Leadership, like Trump made things happen with the Abraham Accords. Trump, and there's a lot of criticism for it, but Trump moved the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem, and there was peace under Trump. With Biden, and some of the people, the liberals will criticize him. It's like, okay, you're saying this, at first you said nothing. Now you're saying this about, Israel or Netanyahu, or they have to wrap it up. I thought you said they had to wrap it up like months ago. And again, I'm not making any pronouncements. I'm not saying anything. I'm commenting on what I believe our president is saying. But yet, so you're saying these things, and yet you just approve more funding. And then there was another $1 billion. So what is the policy? Are you saying things to two different audiences for political purposes? But I mean, what is the policy? And I think Steve Doocy or someone tried to nail down spokesperson Karine Jean-Pierre on like, what is the policy? And wherever you're at on it, like we'd like to know. But this, Paul, frames the problem in the Democratic Party because they have two major constituencies and it's an election year and they don't agree. And this was going to, I've said this from the beginning, this was going to create a huge political problem for Biden, particularly when there's a lack of leadership potentially. And some people are saying that the aides or the handlers, I forget who said that the handlers of Biden have a lot of power. And, you can say that, well, Biden's position is similar to Trump's position. I don't think that's true, number one. Well, let me revise and extend. I'm not sure that's true, number one. And number two, there's a difference between having a nuanced position and taking leadership and having verbally different positions, but then we don't know what the policy is, or there's a lack of leadership, or like, I'm going to say this publicly and do so. I'm not alleging anything. I just feel my perception, my opinion is I see a very stark difference in leadership particularly on this issue between President Trump and President Biden. Paul, your comments.
Yeah, look, I agree. I mean, I'll tell you something I saw today, and it just came over the wires when we were doing the show. I don't know what polling agency it is, but essentially it's a poll in battleground states of Arab and Muslim Americans. And the numbers are not good for President Biden. I want to say that the support for Trump among this group is something like 52 to 35 pro-Trump. And they said that that same group in 2020 had basically the reverse numbers. So as you said, he's threading a needle here. And politically, you understand that. But in terms of policy, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Where are we at? What is happening? Today we heard stuff about possible international court stuff. And I think that the regarding Prime Minister Netanyahu, and I think Biden said that's an outrage. Well, weren't there concerns from your administration about stuff like that?
Yes.
So how's that an outrage?
And
so we're having a lot of inconsistencies here.
And to your point, sorry about that. You had said earlier, Paul, I brought it to my attention. We have, and I might show some stuff over here at Fox News. You have a big Democratic supporter, George Clooney. His wife, quote, Amal Clooney helped convince prosecutors to pursue arrest warrants for Netanyahu and Hamas. And she's a big lawyer and stuff like that. And so, like you said, like, what is the policy here? I've got this right here on C-SPAN. Let me at least bring it. I may not play it, but let me at least bring it up. Right here, C-SPAN headline now, quote, International Criminal Court announces arrest warrants for Israel Hamas leaders. Kareem Khan, an International Criminal Court prosecutor, announced he's seeking arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, and 3 Hamas leaders. What's going on, dude? And I mean, like again, what is the statement and policy from President Biden? Maybe, Paul, you saw, I have not seen it. Like, where's the leadership? You know what I mean? Like, you can criticize a lot of things about President Trump. First of all, great president, one of the best presidents in our time, and I've said that. But I've criticized him and different things. And that's the other thing. Oh man, I gotta be careful with so many things. But it's like, dude, it's okay to criticize governments. It's okay to criticize leaders. That you can be a supporter and criticize. People can criticize me. I make mistakes all the time, dude. This idea that we can't criticize anyone, or if you criticize a state or something like that, that you're not, you know, that you're against, like, dude, you know, show me a government that doesn't make mistakes. Show me an organization that doesn't make mistakes. Right? The hallmark of freedom and a democracy is to be able to criticize. That is the most important First Amendment. Okay. Now, but Trump, if you look at what he did, and this is, I think, one of the reasons why Trump's going to win, in the election, Paul, and particularly, and could even be winning big, you know. And Trump will take these positions, and all. The press is freaking out on Marco Rubio because Marco Rubio's come around to the Trump position in immigration, and so we'll get to that later. But the thing that's great about Trump is Trump, you know, in the pandemic, and a lot of people said, hey, you know, Fauci, and should have got rid of, and they have criticisms of Trump, you know, should have got rid of Fauci and shouldn't have done the lockdowns, all that. But Trump was out front and center with Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx. I apologize for not remembering exactly, but it's one of them, I believe. But Trump was out there almost every day. Trump was taking the questions almost every day. Trump, you know, went out there and faced the music. We don't see that with President Biden, Paul. I mean, you know, people were shocked that we actually are getting debates out of President Biden. And I think that shows the state of the campaign. And the Democrats are really alarmed on these polls. But here we've got a huge issue with the ICC. And it begs the question, did they tell the White House? Did the White House know about this? Number one. And number two, what's the White House's comments on this? And it just seems like it's just like when the WHO was coming out with their pandemic things. You're telling me that none of the governments knew about this either. It becomes almost like a little circular reasoning things. Oh, we got to do this because the WHO said this. Well, then it turns out that, and again, I'm not alleging anything. Forget. Let's say hypothetical. What if this NGO or this international organization says something? Well, we're going to listen to this international organization. We saw some of this stuff with some of the content stuff online, right? But then it turns out that these international organizations are heavily influenced by certain countries or certain organizations or certain billionaires or something like that. So it becomes a circular thing. And so where's the leadership on this? This is a huge issue. It's a huge issue for our greatest ally in the Middle East, Israel. It's a huge issue, although we've got other great allies too. And this is what I'm saying. Like, we want a world where we get along with everybody and everyone's cool with everybody. Trump's done deals in Saudi Arabia. Trump's done deals in Dubai. People now with Abraham Accords, you can go. And again, I have family members. Full disclosure, I've got family members, a little bit distant that, as soon as things open up, they went over there and I think they're doing business in Dubai and stuff like that. Like that region has so much potential. The people don't want to fight. They don't want wars all the time, stuff like that. Maybe they have family members, like there's some family members in Israel, some in Lebanon, some in Syria, or they want to go to Dubai. Like let's get to business. And that's what's so disappointing about President Biden going to Morehouse College. Race. There's only one race, human race, dude. Like if I'm graduating now, I got all this debt and stuff like that. I want to know about what the job market's going to be like. I want to know that things are going to be okay. I want to know that interest rates might come down at some point. Maybe gas in California is not going to be, it's somehow going to go under $5 a gallon at some point. I've seen it like $8 a gallon. So you've got this ICC thing here. What do you take us behind the scenes? Well, I don't know. I don't say it that way. You're plugged in, Paul. What is the administration's response to this? And do you think that they've had contact on this issue?
Well, like I said, my understanding is that President Biden said or reacted to the ICC court filing or whatever it is with supposedly it being outrageous. But on the other hand, in articles that I've read, supposedly going on, I can't vouch for this, but apparently some of the pressure that allies of the White House have applied to the government of Netanyahu in Israel is, hey, you know what? There could be war crimes.
Thank you to the cable and satellite companies.
Playing both sides of this. Are you saying you're outraged because the ICC did this? But on the other hand, are you kind of under the table saying, you better do what we want, or possibly maybe there's war crime stuff here?
Yeah, so is this the high low? Is this the high low?
Yeah, this does have the feeling of playing all sides of the issue for political purposes. And as you said, coming back to the speech at Morehouse, it's really a shame. In some ways, it's inevitable, but I think there's too much that's happened recently of this kind of taking advantage of tragedies for political purposes.
Right.
Do we really need to be talking about the Civil War?
Yeah.
Today?
Yeah.
I mean, for potential political ends.
And I think he talked about George Floyd too, and like what? Right. What are we doing? When are we getting past all these things? And the thing of it is like, what's more right? I mean, like okay, let's set George Floyd aside. What's more important to my life right now? Whatever happened in the Civil War, or if I can get a job? Can I actually buy a house, or what happened in 1776 or 1619 or 1532 or whatever it is, or 10,000 BC? Like, I mean, so it's a little, like what Tucker Carlson was saying, with the interview, I think Dave Smith or something. It's like, there's very few coincidences. I mean, a lot of corporate media there's just a lot of propaganda out there, dude. I mean, we caught it early. We weren't the only ones, but we certainly were one of the first ones, and very, very early on it. Start seeing Taylor Swift everywhere. Taylor Swift and the G and Taylor Swift's what? It's like, oh, here we go. You're going to see a lot of Taylor Swift. Don't be surprised. She starts talking something about the election like she did last time. And I mean, it was just, it was that funny joke. There's that funny line. I'm going to get this a little bit wrong. Tom Brady roast, but I'm going to get it right enough. Tony Hinchcliffe, like, what? Just, I mean, he and Nikki Glazer just were unbelievable. But Hinchcliffe probably, I think overall was probably the best. Although Nikki Glazer was very, very good as well. But Hinchcliffe, one of his jokes about Nikki Glazer, kind of dovetailing off the Cat Williams, Kevin Hart's a plant type of deal. He said Nikki Glazer. I think the joke was Nikki Glazer's got such an eating disorder. The industry is keeps shoving her down our throat, which is to say that, certain people are pushed. And that's what they said about Don Lemon. Don Lemon can't even get 1,000 views apparently on his, I don't know. I'm not alleging anything. I think this was a statement. This is my rough paraphrase, my opinion. I'm not alleging anything. That on his YouTube videos. Well, wasn't this the guy that was super big Mr. Media and big CNN and millions of dollars of contract and then had a deal pending with Elon Musk and had an interview with Elon Musk, and this guy doesn't have a serious audience, not the same way that Tucker Carlson does or Joe Rogan does. So, I mean, this is the thing. Like there's so much stuff that's just a work. It's just an op. Don't get played, dude. And that was the whole thing about what I was trying to talk about, Tucker Carlson saying super genius and stuff like it's trust your gut. You're smarter than you think you are. Whether he looked at my stuff or not, it doesn't matter. Great minds think alike. I mean, maybe if he did, then there you go. And that fantastic. If he didn't, then great minds think alike. Or my discussion got to a friend that's saying the same thing. Things get out there. It's a global audience now. You're smarter than you think you are. You have to trust where you're at. But where's the leadership on this? This is the thing. Like both things are true. On the one hand, don't take things too seriously because we're all the same, in so many ways. Like we're way more similar than we're different, even individuals, stuff like that, right? But at the same time, there's just some serious issues. Like of all the things that we really need leadership on and weigh in on right now, why don't we get some leadership on what's going on with Ukraine and what's going on in Russia and what's going on in the Middle East right there, and let's get some solutions in there. If you don't want you're funding it, you're sending arms. If you don't want the fighting, let's sit down, get them on the room. There isn't even discussion about. There's lack of leadership, in my opinion. John D. Miller. We got leadership here on this show, John D. Miller Radio Show here on Newstalk 1040. Back for the next segment, last segment, also live on live on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Be back in 5 minutes. Hey, what's going on? It's John Villarreal here. John D. Villarreal Show on Newstalk 1040. Also live on YouTube, Facebook, X, Rumble. Lots going on. Oh, my goodness. We've been talking with Paul at Villarreal. We've been talking about the whole thing with the Middle East stuff. What we think is a lack of leadership. Could be a little bit more leadership from President Biden. What's the policy? What's going on? How do we get to peace? It just seems like we've been spending so much time on, there's this discussion of who's right, who's wrong, what's going on, who started what, or, all that type of stuff. And obviously, super complicated, super important issues and stuff like that. But I think a lot of people are like, dude, who's this working for? Like, we got to get to peace. You know what I'm saying? Like who's this working for? And you have Ben Shapiro and other people like, oh, well, immediately after they do something, and actually it's Bill Maher, excuse me, Bill Maher. Let me revise and send that. Bill Maher. I don't know if Shapiro said this or not. I can't remember. I really don't watch much of his stuff, quite frankly. And I'm not, no diss. He's way more successful than me and everything like that. And but Bill Maher, like, oh, as soon as something happens and then they immediately call for a ceasefire. Okay, Bill, it's been over 6 months. We're not, it's not immediate now. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not, listen, I'm not Mr. UN. I'm not Mr. Negotiator, whatever. But we have those, and where are they? You know what I mean? Like, why isn't and that's the thing, like Trump, you can say whatever about Trump. Trump is a deal maker. Trump gets people together. Trump figures it out. We didn't have, that's the bottom line. Maybe it's trite, but it's true. We didn't have this stuff with Trump. The world's in chaos. And instead of actually being in there and solving it, it's like President Biden just wants to blame Trump. Blame the Republicans. Oh, I don't know. Oh, it's so bad. Oh, let's talk about the Civil War. Oh, let's talk about, this is an atrocity on this side and that's bad on that side. Okay, what's your solution? I don't want to hear that it's bad. We know obviously war's bad. What's your solution, President Biden? Are you which side are you taking? What's the policy? And we don't get that. We get a lot of blaming, a lot of victim. It's like just on the left. Not about, forget about this issue. Let's put this aside. Just in general, right? It's like there's a lot of. I feel obviously I'm a conservative. There's a lot of on the left. There's just a lot of criticism, a lot of victimhood, and not a lot of solutions. Particularly that aren't government solutions. So I want to talk about something else. First, Paul, you have any final comments on that stuff before I move on?
Well, like you said, look, we do need to know what's going on. We do need to have a consistent position, and hopefully the position on that on the Middle East issue and other issues.
Yeah, I agree.
Clear and without over politicization.
Right. We don't get clear statements. I don't think that we've had a clear statement, a sit down, a summit, and address the nation, anything like that from President Biden on this. I don't think we've had Prime Minister Netanyahu over here. I don't know. It's like, who am I supposed to listen to? Blinken, Kirby, Biden, KJP? I don't know. I don't know I'm a super genius. I'm a political expert. I can't tell you with 100% certainty right now what is the U.S. position on this issue in the Middle East right now. I don't know. Do you know, Paul? I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm hearing different things. And, some people would say, oh, well, Biden and Obama, they don't like Netanyahu. And and other people are like, oh, they've totally sold out and look at Gaza. If they wanted to stop it, they could. You hear all kinds of things. But here's the thing. You have that kind of talk and you're going to have a lot of that anyway. But the reason why that chatter can grow in a vacuum is because we don't have leadership. Because we don't hear from Biden. We don't say this is the policy. This is what it is. And look at this. And here's a good testament on this. Do you think Nikki Haley has a lot of I don't know what you want to call it, personal admiration, good feelings about President Trump? Now, I don't think so. I don't know. I can't speak for her. But guess what? When Nikki Haley was ambassador to the UN, what did she do? She went up there and said what Trump wanted her to say. Maybe not every single time or whatever like that, or did it in a Nikki Haley way, but she did it. because Trump had a policy and Trump had a message. Kayleigh McEnany went out there and said what Trump wanted to say. Trump, and if they didn't, Trump would go out there and say what Trump wanted to say. And Burks and other people, they didn't like, he didn't like what was going on. And he going out there and said what he wanted to say. That's leadership. You can say, I don't like the policy, I don't agree with it, but that's leadership. You didn't have to guess with Trump. Now you've got a political expert here in myself and a super genius and Paul, who's also a political. We don't know what the policy is for real. Like, what's the real policy? Is it the Biden policy? Is it the KGB? Is it the Newland? I don't know. Meaning like, are they really saying, hey, we'll give you political cover, but there's a hard stop to the war here, or we're for you, or we're going to say this and publicly. And I'm not alleging anything, but do what you need to do or whatever. Who knows? I don't know. But that's the difference, is that people want fairness and they want some kind of certitude and stuff like that. I want to move on. I want to switch on that. And so that's why it's like, obviously we have to talk about it to the news, but I've talked about that so much. And it's like, we could talk about all the time, every show and stuff like that. And if you want that, then there's other places to go for that. We have other things we got to talk about too, but it's a very, very tragic issue. It's an important issue. We wish everybody the best. We love everybody. Peace, love, freedom, opportunity for everyone. And we hope for peace ASAP. It's a great region. It's a great place in the world. It's great people. And we want to see everybody succeed and thrive and be happy and treated fairly and equally and on all that type of stuff. So hopefully we will get some leadership around the world and we'll get a solution to this thing as soon as possible. And the same thing with the Ukraine, and all the rest and everything. Okay. So the economy, Paul, is not so good, in my opinion. And, we've had a lot of things. I want to spend more time on this, but it's okay. Because, we've got these other issues and, obviously the other issues are pretty important. But I saw something that, let me say that this way. For a long time, conservatives feel like they haven't got a fair shake, particularly in tech. And they feel like they've been really censored and canceled and squeezed out of spaces where there's big money or publicity or fame. It's like, how many conservatives feel like they can get a fair shake in Hollywood or in media or on Wall Street or in DC or in academia or in tech, Twitter files, stuff like that. And I've long talked about having a non-political or even a potentially conservative, I don't know, but at least a non-political, tech hub and stuff like that. And we talked about that in Florida, and we've got some different things we're doing, as a family. And so, I'm juggling a lot of different things, including this show. And there's a huge need for it because, you've got a lot of people, and for a long time you had liberals making fun of conservatives. Oh, learn to code and stuff like that, particularly learn to lockdown. And there's almost this smugness and almost an absolute willingness to use corporate power, money, job security, all these stuff as leverage, as muscle to implement their policy or get conservatives or get independents or get even non-political people to just bend the knee to whatever the policy is, whatever the cause of the day is. They show this thing about like people going down there and protesting, for the campus protest. Some Columbia students that went to NYU and, to protest stuff. Hey, why are you guys out here? I don't know. We just heard there's a protest. They couldn't even articulate why they were there. Now, that's no reflection on one side or the other, but it's just to say that there's a lot of people that just go with whatever. Hey, I'm going to put this on my avatar today at some flag or some. Why? Who knows? They don't know. And so there's a lot of conservatives, a lot of, everyday folks that felt like they were getting punked out. That it's almost this cultural revolution that if you didn't toe the leftist line, you were going to lose economic opportunities. You were going to get punked. And there was just a lot of as I said, for a lot of fluff. And even by their own admissions, they a lot of tech companies heavily staffed up HR departments, different departments. I don't want to get into all that. So you can do that, the news out there and stuff like that. That really, they weren't. Look at Elon Musk, cut 90% of people in Twitter, in X, and still doing great. Maybe in some ways, really well. And Paul, you have more stats on that. You can talk about that. And the point is a lot of these jobs were not revenue driven. You had people that were in tech companies that really didn't know tech, couldn't program, weren't bringing in revenue. They were doing, activist stuff or HR or all kinds of stuff like that. But they were making $250,000. They were doing the famous, my day at Facebook, and they're getting or whatever it was, whoever, I forget whatever the company was. And, you get like different lunch breaks and meditation rooms or whatever, and your foosball tables. And I'm not a legend, but just check that out. And I said at the time, this is not tech. This is not sustainable. And even Rogan was talking about that, like, no less than Sundar Pichai, CEO of Google, finally had to come out with this whole thing. And when they, shut down the building for the cloud thing or whatever, and you're not activists, you're tech workers, and even on the college campuses, it's like too much. So it's all to set up this. Now I'm going to change some things around here. I may not change some things around. I'm not going to name the name, and I'm not going to show it on the screen. Okay, but this was a post on LinkedIn today. A contact of a friend. Seems like a pretty big person. I may be wrong. I don't know. I don't have all the information here. It's not about them. This is just emblematic, right? And I don't want to. But this is a public post, and this could even be a public figure, but it's certainly it was at a major tech company, but it's a public post, and I think it's worth putting out there to just talk about it. Now, their tagline says that they were in. Basically, it looks like they were in they were, quote, recruiter / ex-Tesla. Okay, so this is someone that had a big job or big responsibility. Tesla, one of the most successful companies. Stock price was through the roof. This is a major. This person, it was a gateway to major economic opportunity, huge jobs. No. There's very few companies that you'd want to work for more than, if you're in the tech industry, that you'd want to work for more than Tesla. Quite frankly, I'll be honest with you. In my opinion, you know what I mean. That's winning for a lot of people, a lot of executives, a lot of tech people, all over the world. That's winning like the grand prize right there. Okay. That's winning the grand prize right there. So my supposition is that with some of the layoffs, maybe this person's it says ex-Tesla is no longer there. Anyway, I'm not going to infer too much. I'm going to say this, and I reserve the right to amend some of this, and I'll flag that out. So this is going to be not an exact quote, but a paraphrase. But let's start right here. Quote: 204 jobs. In 1 month, I've applied for 204 jobs on LinkedIn alone. First of all, let me stop and say that. Look, I love LinkedIn. I absolutely love LinkedIn. But I would try. I don't think any one source, every source has their it's great, it's not so great, the pros and cons, if you will. I wouldn't try for just one source. Now, maybe this person did. I don't know. But we'll see. Okay. And okay. So I'm going to continue now. From those, I've had 4 interviews, 3 of which the hiring managers completely ghosted me. One of that role was closed due to budgets. It goes on, next paragraph. Ghosting is a real problem. Candidates deserve better. And it goes on, blah, 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 about how, all this is bad and, quote, extremely disrespectful. So for that, quote, it takes seconds to reply to an email or text, or rejection is better than not hearing back. And then it talks about candidate experience and, quote, recruiters, let's do better. And a lot of people, hundreds like this, supported it, this and that, whatever. And here's the thing, and I want to get Paul's comments on this. So first of all, we feel bad for anyone. There's real lives out there. It's a real economy. We don't wish anything bad on anyone. It's a tough job market. Oh, I will say there was something here. Hold on a second. There was somewhere I saw about, they said, I don't know if it's here in the comments where they said, oh, the recession's real and stuff like that. Yeah, it's real. Absolutely, it's real. Are you kidding me? Where is it? I don't know. I can't, it's too much going on here. But anyway, people say, oh, it's absolutely real. Well, yeah, it's real. I've been saying it's real. I've been saying it's bad. I've been saying, it's been tough. But my comments are like this. Now, that the recession's hitting the tech. How many people, and I don't know. I'm just asking. I'm just talking. How many people did this person ghost? Did they ever ghost anybody? How about all the conservatives that could never get a job, could never hope to get a job at any of the tech companies? Dude, I was a superstar for my level in the Valley and stuff like that. As soon as I started doing videos with Paul on President Obama and did the conservative thing, like, oh man, it all shut off, dude. I was canceled before people even know that was like a thing, in my opinion. And again, we talked about that before. New York Times writing articles on me, I write articles on Paul. All kinds of weird things, weird phone calls, weird articles going up. People impersonating me, all crazy stuff that unfortunately has happened to a lot of other people. And did we have the same energy then? So now that it affects you, now there's a problem with recruiting. Now there's a problem with ghosting. Oh, okay. I gotcha. Huh. So, but there's no problem with any of no conservatives in text. There's no problem. We're not talking about the Twitter files. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about, dude, I've said for a long time, recruiting is broken. I've said for a long time, what does HR do in a lot of ways? And listen, I'm not trying to get into anything like, I love my family and stuff like that. Dude, I have so many degrees, it's not even funny. My sister-in-law is a major HR exec at a major company. She doesn't have anywhere near I don't know that she's, listen, I'm not trying to, I don't want to get vastly different resumes. Okay. But hey, she's a major executive, it's a major company. So if a former big HR person, recruiter from Tesla says that there's a recruiting problem, do you think there's a problem out there? Why do we keep doing this? Why do we keep putting some people have said that activists or people with the soft skills are like, why do we put let me reverse that. Let me revise that. I don't know whether they have soft skills or don't have. I'm not talking about this person. I'm talking in general. I don't know whether they have soft skills or not soft skills. They may not even have soft skills, but a lot of them don't have the hard skills of coding, of programming, of sales and marketing, stuff like that you absolutely have to have for a company. Like you can farm out HR. You can do a lot of these things. You have to have, if you're a software company, you don't have coding, you don't have a company. If you don't have sales and marketing, you don't have a company. Right? You can do without HR. You can do without a lot of things. You can do without, but you can't do without that type of stuff. So now it's a problem. Now it's a problem. Before it was learning to code. Now we've got a problem. Gotcha. And what we're finding is a lot of these people that got staffed up when we're doing this, that we're doing the TikToks, that we're doing the dancing, that we're dunking on conservatives and whatever. Now they have a problem. Because why? Because at a certain point, and as Margaret Thatcher says, socialism's great until you run out of other people's money. If you can't generate value and generate revenues, then you know what? We can't support your $6-figure, your $250,000 job where you may be ghosting people too. You're telling me you never ghost anyone? Let me tell you a quick story. I'm going to bring Paul in here. I want to put this person on blast. It's like, it's you've got oh man, I'm going to get myself in trouble. Well, I might go back to that. I might not. I've got a friend. He's former McKinsey, former venture capitalist in the healthcare space, MD, master's, MBA. This guy's just a superstar. Okay. And we may be doing some business together later, stuff like that. And you might get to know him, stuff like that. Awesome guy. He told me he put out 500 resumes. This lady's, crying about 204, and that's a lot. That's not fun. That's not cool. I'm not saying that's cool. That's not cool. He put out 500, got nothing, I believe. I may be wrong in this, but I mean, everyone's doing having a hard. I put stuff out. I'm a superstar in certain things. I talked to some different owners and stuff, and I think I would have been perfect for the situation. Now, it was a different place. I didn't want to leave Florida. I wanted a lot of money because I'm not cheap, stuff like that. But I talked to two of the owners, whatever like that. Oh, it's great. We're going to set something up. They ghosted me. dude, they're busy. Like, it happens. Like, I'm a big kid. It's okay. I didn't put someone on blast and complain about it on LinkedIn. I get it. It is broken. But I just feel like we got some different double standards here. But it's definitely a window into all of a sudden the cry bullies. I'm not saying this. I have no idea. But I'm not making any allegations here. I'm just talking writ large of the leftists, right? A lot of them who may be in HR, might be in tech. We know tech leans left. That's known. We didn't see the same crocodile tears when it came to. In fact, there were people that were actively saying that, in Hollywood and other places and some of these streaming companies and stuff, that they would look at people's, Twitters and tweets and try to find people that agreed with them and stuff like that. And, Cat Williams and other people, it's all coming out now. Paul, your comments, we got about 3 minutes.
Yeah, look, there is a lot of stuff coming out. And as you said, it's just interesting that the people like this woman that you're discussing in terms of sending out all the resumes and is talking about ghosting and everything. They weren't interested in any of this before, as you said, but now suddenly they're interested.
Right. And I'm sorry, I'm sorry, time out, Paul. I really apologize, but I really have to get this crucial point in. She's talking about, just be honest. Tell them, give them the honest feedback. Have you or anyone you knew in technology, because we know it's hard left. We've seen it. The Twitter employees were revolting against Elon Musk, the owner. Have you or anyone you know in tech recruiting ever not given someone an opportunity? I'm not alleging anything. I'm just asking a question. I'm not alleging anything. I'm just asking a question. Have you never not given someone an opportunity because you didn't like their politics? You didn't like they were conservative. You didn't like that they voted for Trump, whatever it is. Has that ever happened? Have you ever heard of that happening? Have you ever heard conversations where you felt like it was pro-leftist, but against the conservatives, or conservatives, because I can tell you, if you look at a lot of these big tech companies, just like we see in Hollywood, conservatives are even afraid to say anything, dude. When I went to law school, it was like that. I love Berkeley, but that's what it was, in my opinion. Okay, Paul, continue.
Yeah, so that's the thing. They weren't, as you said earlier, it's not just that they were not thinking about this when the shoe was on the other foot. They were oftentimes, a lot of people similar, I would think, to this woman, were happy to make it happen against other people. Like you said, cancel conservatives, silence people we don't agree with and everything. But now suddenly concern for ghosting and people not responding. I mean, first of all, welcome to the world. And second of all, what about everybody else? But now suddenly, because it's happening to you, it's a big concern for everybody. Well, for a lot of people, it's already been a concern for years and years.
Right. And you were with Tesla. I mean, you're talking about, did you save money? I mean, you probably made some good money and stuff like that. I mean, that's the thing. If you've got this big pedigree, you've got some, listen, even though I wasn't the most corporate guy or whatever like that, because when I was at Wilson or I was at other places, I made all kinds of connections. People knew my name, a lot of doors opened up because of the performance. Even now in automotive and stuff like that, I'm not the most, but I'm so good. People have heard about me. It's like T.O. and somebody wants a winner. Somebody wants talent. If you're talented, that'll be found out. I'm not saying whatever, and you got to hustle. Like you said, Paul, welcome to the world. I mean, it's just, to me, it's like, this is such a first world problem. It's not even funny. And you have a lot of people that just got super, I'm not saying this person, we wish everybody the best, but this is a life. And if you believe in a higher power, we'll humble you. I promise you. And this is maybe an opportunity for all of us to think about how we treat each other, and as we do here in the John D. Villarreal Radio Show, to try to champion for a fair, equal, just world for everybody. Freedom, love, opportunity, peace, love, opportunity for everybody. Love you guys out there. This is John D. Villarreal Radio Show on Newstalk 1040 and live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and X, and Twitter, and Rumble. Facebook, link the link. Thanks so much. Stay blessed. See you next week.